Hello, and welcome back to City Skylines. My name's Sparky. We're back in the city of Baltimoray here on the west coast of Scotland. The last time we finished our little waterfront area here, we added some green cities, high-rise flats, and I think it suits the area quite well. So today I want to finish, or start, we've not actually done anything to it, but we laid out this big area here, the big city park area, and today we're going to build our city park. So to start off here, I'm just going to do a wee bit of terraforming because it's quite a big project I want to build in the middle, and you've probably seen the thumbnail already. We're going to build a hedge maze. So yeah, I'm laying out, obviously I want it to be flat, so I'm laying out roughly where I want it to be. So we're going to do a wee bit of terraforming, and there's going to be a bit of a hill between, you know, where we'll call it the centre of the park with the hedge maze and, you know, our sort of government office district there. So I'm just going to lay out a square here of where I want this hedge maze to go. Obviously this will be the first thing I'm making it because it's going to be the longest part of it, I think. And I'm just deleting a few trees here from the area, obviously, because the area I'm building, we'll add trees later on, but for now obviously I want a blank canvas so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to lay out my path area. I've built this in like a test environment, so I kind of know I want to go 420 in all directions to make a perfect square. And that will be it's actually quite big. I didn't realise it was going to be as big as this in this spot, but yeah, 420 by 420 in terms of size of path. And we're just going to have these pedestrian roads all the way around. We're going to treat the pedestrian roads in this park kind of like a special path. I know in the game technically the cars will come through now and again, police cars and hearses and stuff, but for what I'm wanting in the game, we're just going to treat it as basically a special type of path. So right there, that square there is going to be where our hedge maze is. So again, I'm just getting rid of the rest of the trees so we can start this build here. So there's a square, so let's start working on it. We're basically going to make smaller squares all the way into the middle until we've got a 4x4 area in the middle, and we're going to plonk down one of the park assets, and that is the fountain. So I'm just making squares all the way around until we get down to the middle. So a 4x4 area in the middle, and as I said, city park assets, we're just using the fountain. I could maybe use a better asset than that, but you know, it's the bigger asset you use, the bigger your hedge maze is, and I want to it's already kind of big anyway, isn't it? So there's our basic square. So now I'm just going to add a diagonal in all the corners. So that's for sort of 4 entranceways into the hedge maze. And now it's time to, you know, work on our maze. So obviously I've made a maze up front, so I'm basically just copying a picture of a maze I've made in like a test world. So I'm just copying my connections I made there. But you know, if you're making one yourself, it's not actually that hard. I found it a lot easier to sort of make one myself than it was to, you know, Google one and trying to copy a picture off of Google. But you know, whatever works for you if you're going to make one yourself. So obviously you don't want your maze to be like overly hard or anything like that, because at the end of the day it's meant to be for, you know, all ages, you know, and you don't want your Sims, or the Sims are going to get lost because obviously they're just following AI. But let's pretend that this is real life. You don't want people getting lost in a wee hedge maze. You know, it's almost supposed to be a wee bit of fun. But you know, I think that looks quite good. You know, it's as I say, we've got 2 ways into the middle, 4 ways out in terms of the diagonals at the corners. And you know, I think as I say, it's a basic hedge maze. I think that looks quite good. So with our paths in place, I'm going to use the one mod, one of two mods I use. I use 81 tile mod, and I use this prop line mod. I mainly use it obviously for trees when I'm lining, you know, large areas, and I want to have a line of trees next to it. But obviously it works really well for, you know, this as well. And yeah, I mean, can you imagine placing all these bushes one at a time in vanilla? So I think it's a valuable mod, and you know, it doesn't. I've never had any issues with it in terms of breaking my game or any difficulties when new versions of the game come out and it's got, you know, gets upgraded. It's worked pretty much fine in every version of the game I've ever had. So I mean, if it eventually did break, you know, it's not the end of the world. It just means this would take 3 times longer. But as you can see, I'm sort of just filling in the lazy bits, you know, all the straight bits along paths, and then later on, obviously we'll go in and we'll tidy it up and make it a wee bit more, you know, finessed, and it'll look a lot better. But as I said before, I mean, can you imagine doing this one by one? It would take an absolute eternity. So I'm quite glad I've got this same mod to use. And you know, even though it's quite, you know, it's quite lazy and putting it in this way, you can already see it's starting to look not bad, you know, in certain places. Obviously we need to tidy it up, and you know, we'll do that in a minute here. But yeah, I think it looks starting to come together already. So I just want to have another row all the way around the edges. In my test world, I didn't really have this one as, you know, had a row of bushes around the edges, but I do think it's better, and that's the main bushes in place now. So we can go ahead and tidy it up a wee bit. As you can see, it was just quick to do it that way, I thought. So it's obviously easier just to sort of put a lot of the bushes in, you know, using the prop line tool, and then you can sort of go in manually and just finish off, you know, the rest of it quite easily. But yeah, as I say, it's, if I didn't have the prop line tool, you know, I don't know if I would have made this, to be honest, because putting all these bushes in manually is an absolute nightmare. So this is, as I say, this is a one mod that I allow myself outside, you know, the 81 tile. But you know, if you're going to make this yourself in vanilla, obviously, you know, maybe it'd be better creating an asset and then you can plonk it in any old map. You know, maybe I should have done that as well, actually, come to think of it. But but you know, maybe in the future I'll make a better one of these. But this was, I thought this turned out quite well myself. You know, obviously it's my build, so you know, maybe it's, I'm going to say I like it, but obviously spent a lot of time working on this. That's why this video is a wee bit late compared to other ones. I like to try and get videos out every 3-4 days, but this one took a wee bit of time, not just to plan but to build as well. But in the end, I think it's worth it. Now that that's been tidied up, we're just going to put one last row of bushes along our diagonal, you know, ways in and ways out of our maze, and that should add the finishing touches in terms of, you know, bushes anyway on you know, this maze. Now that our bushes in place, we're just going to do our landscaping here, and we're going to start using some jacarandas in, you know, the innermost square here. There's basically 4 squares of landscaping to be done, and in the middle here, as I said, we're going to use a jacaranda because it's the tallest of the 4 trees, or the 3 trees. I'm only going to use 3 trees to decorate these 4 areas, and I think this is the tallest, and it's obviously quite bright, so we want this in the middle. We're just going to have 4 trees around all the sides, and I think that looks really good. So in the second sort of square, I'm just going to use the Londons. As I say, I want to have like a colourful square, then a green square, then another colourful square, and then another green square. So we're just going to use the Londons here all the way around. And you know, I think that looks quite good, you know. As I say, I didn't want to have another row. I didn't want to have another square of colourful trees again. I didn't want it to be too bright and jarring. So I thought it was good just to have a wee row of Londons in the middle. And the sort of second ring. So my third ring here, I thought it'd be good to use my cherry blossom trees, as I call them. As I say, I kind of wanted to break up the cherry blossom and the jacarandas. I didn't want to have them right next to each other in the middle, you know, and have it really bright. So that's why I just went for a row of Londons in between more jacarandas and more cherry blossoms. And you know, I'm having it a wee bit more spread out because I don't want to block, you know, all the view as well. And I think that looks, you know, it's as I say, that adds another layer to the maze, and I think it looks quite good. So our last sort of square, again, I'm just going to use the Londons all the way around. As I said before, I wanted to sort of break up, you know, the very colourful jacarandas and the cherry blossoms, and I thought, you know, just a layer of Londons all the way around. And again, it doesn't block too much of the view. You can't. I want this to be sort of, you know, you can see where you're going, kind of, you know, and it's not, you know, blocked by tree branches everywhere. So I thought it'd be good just to use them because they're quite a small tree, aren't they? And you know, I think that looks, that's starting to look really good. Obviously, well, I think it looks really good anyway. And yeah, I think it'll look a lot better once we do the rest of this park here. So the reason why I've put in a couple of pedestrian roads is because I want to use some unique buildings. Not unique buildings actually, some park buildings, but they're ones that are, you know, you can usually place them on roads. So I think I'm going to stick the botanical gardens in this park. I think it will suit being right next to, you know, our little hedge maze here. And as I said earlier on, I might put some flower beds in between. You know, we've got a wee bit of grassy bits at the side of our hedge maze, and we might put some more flower beds in there, but for now, I think that looks quite good there. So now we've got our botanical gardens there. I think I'm just going to bring this road down, a pedestrian road. This is basically going to be a free park, so I'm not too worried about, you know, visitors walking in via, you know, pedestrian road or by, you know, some of our paths that we're going to have through this park. But that came out a wee bit lumpy and bumpy there. So I'm just going to redo that. I'm just going to, you know, obviously grade this a wee bit better and put that pedestrian road back in. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about, you know, losing money for, you know, Sims coming in via pedestrian roads. I think pedestrian roads, as I said, they're basically glorified paths, and I think they're needed here because, as I said, I'm using some more assets down the bottom of the park here as well. So I'm just bringing a road down the middle of, you know, our maze, and we're going to use a couple more assets here. We're going to use the bouncy castle, and we're going to use a carousel. I think those, you know, they kind of suit. I'm going to have a wee sort of miniature area here where I think it'll be more for, you know, young children. So I think we're going to have another asset. I think we're going to use a small playground as well in this area. I think it will suit those assets quite, you know, as I say, they're all quite suited to one another. So I'm going to bring pedestrian road round the back of them. And you know, that corner's a wee bit bumpy now, but I think I'll fix that in a minute. Yeah, I think these assets are suited to one another, and I say I want this to have like a small children area where, you know, that you know, families want to come and visit. So we've got space there for another asset. So I think we'll just go for the plaza, the 5x5 plaza actually. You know, it's some place where the, you know, the parents can sit where the and the children are using the playground or the carousel or bouncy castle or whatever. So yeah, we'll stick the plaza in. I'm just going to shuffle these around a wee bit. And as I said, we'll fix this lumpiness and bumpiness here. So bumpiness taken care of. I kind of want to have, you know, all the park features in this park, so let's, I think this will be a good place to put our park cafe and, you know, our restroom down this side, you know. So let's do that now. Let's put in our cafe restroom. And to be honest, these, in terms of positions, we might tinker with it down the line. In terms of, I don't know, I might stick more assets in this park. But for now, we'll stick them down there and we'll see. I say that's a good place, I think, to have them, but we might tinker down the line. So on this other side here, I'm bringing another path down the side, and we're going to have a chessboard, and once we unlock it, we'll put our trampoline in that corner as well. Maybe the trampoline doesn't really suit going next to the chessboard, but I'd want to have the trampoline in here somewhere. I'll figure that out once we actually unlock it. But there's a chessboard there, and you know, I think that's starting to look not bad. So let's put some gates in. I think I'm going to have the main gate with the parking on it. It's just a case of where we're going to put it. Oh, right, we've already got a main gate. Okay, so we need to delete the main gate we've got. That's going to reset the park, which is a bit annoying, but you know, whatever. Yeah, so I had to delete, we already had a main gate, so I had to delete the main gate, and let's find a place. I think we'll stick it down in this corner, down the bottom here. I don't know. But I might change it to the, you know, the main gate with no parking spots. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I want to sprinkle gates all throughout, and have lots of connectivity about it. You know, have them at most of the corners so that people can get in and out at all angles of the park. Gates in place. Let's start putting in more fences. Obviously, this is a weird shaped area, so I'm just going to go in, you know, and manually like this. I think the curved road tool when you're trying to use the fences sometimes can be rather annoying, so this might look a wee bit as if it takes a wee bit of time, but I'd rather do this than, you know, to muck about with the straight line tool. As I said before, I don't mind, this park's going to be free, so I don't mind the fact that people can walk in via pedestrian road or, you know, it doesn't really bother me. So that side is obviously very straight, which obviously helps. And this little bit here is a wee bit, obviously it's curved and it's a wee bit more finicky. But you know, that's basically 4 sides done. I'm going to leave this side for now because I'm not too sure. I might have some more assets in this area. But now we need to add that service point, because obviously we've got assets on, you know, pedestrian roads, and they're only going to function if we have a service point slash you know, pedestrian area. So I need to find a space where I can put down a service point for this park. Obviously I want it quite local. Maybe this corner here. We only need a small one because we've only got a few assets, but this is one feature of the game I don't really like, to be honest, about the parks and promenades, is I like to use, you know, the pedestrian roads quite a lot, and it's kind of annoying you need to place a service point down every time. But I've got a couple of assets on, you know, a pedestrian road, you know, but you know, such is life. And now our service point is in, we need to obviously create a funky area, so that we're, you know, the assets that need a service point, you know, connected to our service point. So I'm just including here the botanical gardens. We're going to bring it all around, you know, this, our maze here, and connect the 4 assets at the bottom. This is going to look horrible in this view, but it's just going to be what we have to do. As I say, I don't really like the fact that you need to place a service point every time you've got a building on a pedestrian road, but such is life. But the assets should work now that they're hooked up to a service point. So I'm just putting in some water pipes, and you know we should be able to, you know, start simming here, and those assets should work. I want to create a couple of junctions on this road because it's quite a long straight road, and you know, people in those flats might want to visit the park as well, so I kind of want to create another have a couple more pedestrian roads coming off, you know, that big long main street there. So I'm just moving those assets over, you know, height of realism and all that, and we're going to create another pedestrian road into the park, and it'll meet up, you know, into the middle of the, you know, we'll call it the plaza area. Same on the other side, we're just going to have another pedestrian road coming in, going up to the side of our chessboard. You know, all of this kind of subject to change. You know, there's a few assets we need to unlock first, but you know, I'm starting to like the way this is looking, and you know, it's time to put in some more park paths. Yeah, so as I say, I want this to be, you know, I don't mind if the pedestrians come in via park path or like pedestrian road, because essentially it's a free park anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It means it will take long enough for the park to level up to level 5, but you know, it's you know, whatever. So I think I'm going to stick another climbing frame here. Again, everything's sort of subject to change, just with you know, especially when it's the park. I'm notoriously bad at just plonking stuff down and seeing how it looks and then changing it. So you know, everything that you see here might get amended or changed at some point, but yeah, I just want to have lots of not plazas, lots of gazebos, and a few more climbing frames, I think, in some of the corners. And so that we've got a bit of a hill here, so this road's, but it's not road, these paths on this hill are going to be a wee bit lumpy and bumpy, but again, I don't really mind that. We'll tidy it up as best we can, and obviously if it gets too out of control, you know, we'll just have to tidy it up. So I'm doing my best to sort of avoid, you know, straight paths as much as we can, and you know, bringing the road down and making connections at either side of this, we'll call it, our sort of maze plaza area. And you know, I suppose you know, you want people to be able to walk from one side of the park to the other quite easily. Well, not just for a access standpoint in terms of people want to use the park, but maybe there's people who want to walk through the park, you know, going to and from work or the shops or whatever. So, you know, you want it to be obviously connected to each side of the park as well, you know. So I've made a bunch of connections, but you know, as I said, everything's a wee bit subject to change. I don't really like some of the paths what I've done, but you know, I'll fix it here or there, and you know, I'm just sticking in a few gazebos here or there. And, you know, it's you know, with each asset we add, it's starting to look a wee bit better. And all that's a bit lumpy and bumpy there. But, you know, I think the parks you've just got to keep, you know, tinkering with it. I don't think there's any other way, you know, to make a park really, other than to just keep on, you know, finessing little bits and pieces here or there, and seeing how things look in certain places, and then, you know, changing it. But you know, I think it's coming together. You've just kind of got to stick with it and keep on, you know, tinkering. So I've started the sim, so hopefully we can maybe level up the park, and say I want to get a trampoline in here, so we'll just finish off our fencing here, because obviously we left this blank earlier on. I was going to maybe put some tennis courts or a basketball court in this park, but I don't know, I don't think I'll bother. But one thing I have forgotten about is we actually kind of need a park maintenance building over this side of the water. I think we've only got one and it's on the other side, so I've said before, I'm going to bring this road over the water, But so we've got a wee bit of space at the back here, back of our residential area, where I think we can plonk down, you know, a park maintenance building. It's sort of out the way, it's relatively close, and you know, I think that'll suit it quite well there, kind of out the way and in the corner there. So hopefully that'll keep our park up to scratch. Let's do some landscaping. Let's tidy up and put in some upgrade to our pedestrian roads. So that came out as a wee bit weird there. It had two different paths. Yeah, that's a wee bit better. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to upgrade to, you know, the path. So trees down either side for most of this area, I think. And it's a wee bit busy, but I don't really mind that. It's probably because of the trees as well, or the basic trees, and the basic trees are, I don't really like the basic trees, as I've said many a time. I think we'll change them to, you know, the sugar maple tree all the way around. You know, I think that looks a lot better than the standard tree, you know. And wow, those trees actually make a lot of difference to that pedestrian road. I mean, not that the pedestrian road's, you know, ugly or anything, I think the sugar maple tree looks really good on it. And it's starting to look really nice. I'm liking the look of this. So pedestrian roads, you know, updated. Let's, I want to put some more trees around the edge here. So I'm going to be deleting some of these trees that are already here, because I prefer, you know, if you've watched this channel any time, you know I prefer the chestnuts, the oaks, and, you know, the conifers more than anything. So we'll keep some of the trees that are already here, but the ones that are close to the fence and the big tall pines or whatever, I don't know if they're pines or not, but the ones that are close to the edge and, you know, the big tall ones, I'm going to get rid of them, and we're just going to put a row of chestnuts all around. It's a bit lumpy and bumpy. We'll try and fix that as best we can later on. Just, you know, brush over it now, and you know, some of these paths are, you know, as I've said before, temporary / we can tie them up as we go. That's very lumpy and bumpy. I don't know about that bit, but let's continue with our trees. Yeah, I'm going to have the chestnuts all the way around, as I've said before, and you know, it sort of clearly defines where the park is, you know. So as I said, I'm deleting the ones sort of close to the edge, and you know, putting these chestnuts in. As I say, we'll probably put in some more trees, you know, some more oaks, make this a wee bit more dense in certain places of the park, but as I say, the more you tinker and the more you sort of, you know, finesse, the better always, you know, it looks. So stick a couple more in this corner. I think we'll stick an oak in this corner. We'll make that the one corner that it's a wee bit different. So yeah, now that's in, I'm going to delete some of the smaller trees and the big enormous trees, and we're going to stick some oaks and some more conifers in, I think. Yeah, so we'll put some more, a couple of chestnuts in as well, and get rid of these taller ones. As I say, everything's a wee bit subject to change. I like to plonk stuff down and see how it looks, and then we can always make changes later on. And I say this part will probably be, because I've not unlocked, you know, the trampoline yet, I'll probably make more changes to this park, but I kind of want to just, as much of this finish as I can today and get this episode out, because it's been a long process, to be honest, this build. I don't know if we've reached level 5 today. But yeah, that's starting to look quite nice. Let's have a wee tour here as we're finishing up here. I think I'm done for the day in terms of making any more changes, but let's just have a wee tour. So we've got some paths, you know, interspersed with, you know, our pedestrian roads here. We've got our 4 assets down here. You know, the bouncy castle, small playground. You know, we've got a plaza with, you know, next to a cafe. The carousel, those are assets. You know, the bouncy castle and the carousel are 2 assets I don't think I've ever used before, but And then we have our nice maze in the middle here. I think that's turned out really well, you know. There's still spaces around the edge, or there's a grass area around the edge here that we can use for, well, maybe some flower beds or something, but you know, we'll see how it goes in the end. What the hell is this? There's a random bear. Oh, that's quite sad, to be honest. I feel horrible now. We've replaced this bear's home with a big park. Oh god, I feel bad. I feel bad. Poor bear. I say poor bear, he's probably scaring the crap out of you know, all the people in the hedge maze and stuff, so oh, that's quite funny. It's quite funny and sad that we've replaced this bear's home with a big park, but yeah, we've got our botanical gardens here as well. You know, and up this hill here, because it's a hill and it's quite lumpy and bumpy terrain, we don't have much. We've just got a few gazebos overlooking the park, and you know, from up here you've got a great view. You know, you've got the hedge maze there, the rest of the park. You know, in the background you've got the, you know, they've got the hills in the background. It's in the water. It's quite a good view from up here. But yeah, botanical gardens. As I say, we might put some flower beds in the grass area around our maze here. We've got our chessboard. I want to put in, you know, the trampoline somewhere as well, but we need to get to level 5 to unlock that. So we'll see. And again, we've just got some more gazebos out here, another climbing frame over here. And you know, it's mostly finished. I kind of just wanted to get this episode out because it's been a long process in making this, but I think I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out so far, and I hope you do too. So now, if you like this build, you know, obviously like and subscribe. It took a bit of time to put this together, and you know, if you want to see where the city goes as well, obviously drop a follow, and you know, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.